Hello and welcome to a look-back episode of The Essential. I'm Jacob Tomlinson, and today we'll be reflecting on some of the most prominent stories over the past year, both locally here in Leeds and around the world. First, we'll be going back to one of the biggest tragedies of the year, where 49 people lost their lives in an Orlando nightclub. Zachary Walker takes us back.
On Sunday the 12th of June, Omar Mateen opened fire on the renowned gay nightclub Pulse in Orlando, Florida, taking the lives of 49 people and injuring a further 53. This horrific event resulted in the largest loss of life due to a mass shooting in US history that shook not just the LGBT+ community in Orlando and the rest of the United States, but the rest of the world, including right here in Leeds.
Okay, tonight on Lower Briggate we've organised an event which is to support our brothers and sisters in America who've lost their lives so tragically over the last 24 hours, and we're having a candlelight vigil tonight, and we'd love people to come down and join us if possible. We're going to have a minute's silence and we're going to have a singer on and some speakers.
I think Leeds is a city where compassion runs through our veins as local people and as a council. We wanted to do what we could to support the LGBT community in putting this event together and being able to, in a dignified and respectful fashion, show our respect for the dead from the tragedy in Orlando and also show our support for the LGBT community here in Leeds and around the world. That's really important to us as a council.
Organisers have pulled together in a matter of hours after the reports were released to bring people together in solidarity for the lives that were lost this weekend.
2 of my friends have died needlessly for some idiot.
It's alright.
Why would you do that to someone?
Don't be afraid. Stay proud and be always proud of what you are. Don't ever hide away and just live for your life as you always should.
Hundreds have gathered here in Lower Briggate to show their love and their support at this candlelit vigil in honour of those lost and in support of the families and friends of the people caught up in the incident. Zach Walker, The Essential.
Moving on from Leeds, last November the Essential team travelled down to London to bring you an in-depth look at the student protest. Joseph Birch reports.
Students from across the country gathered at Hyde Park Corner on November 19th to march in protest with the National Union of Students and University and College Union. The NUS has stated that the government is waging war on students and our education, and that the proposed changes will leave students facing higher debt than ever before.
We are here to fight the government's reforms and plans to further marketise our education, to cut our colleges, to make education even more inaccessible. We're here to say that education is a right and not a privilege, and that we will come out, we will take to the streets, we will take action whenever our education is under attack. But further than that, we're here to provide the alternative of what our sector should look like, and it should be aligned with the fact that education is a social good and not a for-profit business.
The prospective changes would also see current bursaries and grants scrapped, along with student fees rising to £12,000 by 2026. Organisers of the event are also encouraging students to boycott the National Student Survey.
I'm here because I'm a teacher in a college, a further education college, and I think it should be absolute right that everyone should be allowed to study if they got the ability. And it's absolutely outrageous. I enjoy free education myself. I couldn't have become a teacher without having that free education, and it breaks my heart and makes me very angry that, the students I teach are facing thousands of pounds worth of debt. Some are put off from going to university, and they're no different from me. It's just that I'm a few years older or whatever, and it's just wrong. We're the 6th richest country in the world. We can afford this. Germany got rid of tuition fees, so why can't we?
Upon arriving at Millbank, protesters received impassioned speeches from public figures such as the President of the National Union of Students, Malia Bouattia, and the writer Owen Jones. A message of support from the leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, was also projected. Thousands of students marched on Parliament in protest against the changes to higher education. The sizable turnout has shown students are taking a firm stand against what they perceive as injustice in the nation's politics. Joseph Birch, The Essential.
On Friday the 13th of November 2015, Paris suffered one of the worst terrorist attacks in history. BBC presenter Martine Croxall spoke to us about her experience being on air at the time of the attacks.
And then I was off air. I have this sort of gap in my output between 8:30 and 10:30, when normally we would do a paper review. And just one line dropped on, I think it was on PA, on the wires, saying there's been some gunshots in Paris. And we kind of looked at it and we thought, nah, it's a Friday night, it's a car backfiring, it's somebody letting off a firecracker, or maybe it is a gunshot, but it's just an isolated thing. And then 10 minutes later there was another one, 10 minutes later there was another one. It got to the point where we realised that they must have been coordinated. You're full of adrenaline, even though it's a sort of contained adrenaline. There's no sort of sense of excitement, but there is a sense of urgency because you want to get it right. And you are reluctant to hand over to someone else. And some people often say to me, oh, it must have been awful for you to be on that day or that night. Well, yes, it is, insofar as you're reporting tragic events. You're reporting that people are being killed or injured, and nobody wants that. But given that these things do happen, you want to be the person who's telling the world about it.
Mrs. Cox was brought to the Leeds General Infirmary, where she died 4 hours later. Many expressed their support for family and friends after the attacks, including Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and Prime Minister Cameron.
Superbugs, if they become even more common than they are today, then anything like this could really cause a major problem.
B7608. That was my name from that day onwards. Anytime they wanted me, they called me by my number. I was just a number.
How did you cope emotionally day by day? How did you sort of fight through it?
Not very well. I had about 30 years terrible nightmares. But it's past me now. It's never come back again.
I'm Natalie, reporting for The Essential. I am here in Leeds city centre tonight, where there is a protest against Donald Trump's Muslim ban. As you can see, the city have come out in full force to show their solidarity for what is happening in America.
And finally, before we go, here's your Essential 60-second update.
Hello and welcome to your Essential 60 Seconds. I'm Kyle Shields. In your headlines this week, a fugitive has been found hiding in university accommodation. Police raided the Leodis flat after finding a gunman was seeking refuge there. The suspect was thought to be involved in a firearm incident in Bradford, which involved a woman being seriously assaulted and the firearm being discharged. The protest group Tent City have left the university accommodation Central Village following an eviction order from the university itself. The pop-up city came after a group of activists from Leeds Voice for the Homeless began their protest in the hope of raising awareness and changing council policy. The £165 million Victoria Gate development is set to open its doors this week, with the flagship John Lewis store opening on October 20th. Robin Dixon, the head of retail development at Hammerson, says the store is set to be the largest premium retail and leisure destination outside of London. And finally, in your weather, a rainy start to the week, but should clear up by Wednesday, but cloud and cold conditions to last until the end of the week. Temperatures are only set to reach a high of about 12 degrees. I'm Carl Shields, and that was your Essential 60 Seconds.
I just keep on marching.
Rebecca Kushner, The Essential.
Ryan Daniels, The Essential.
Salla Hyttinen, The Essential.
Anka Koman, The Essential.
Rachel Turner, The Essential.
Miriam Gale, The Essential.